11 gems must visit while in Puglia, Italy. 1 Bari. 2 Arborovello. 3 Andria. 4 Altamura. 5 Lex. 6 Polignano. 7 Loco Rotondo. 8 Mater. 9 Otranto. 10 Ostuni. 11 Monopoli. Now, let's see, one by one. Bari Vecchia, or the Old Town of Bari, is a captivating labyrinth of narrow, sun-bleached limestone alleys set on a peninsula jutting into the Adriatic Sea. Historically seen as a rugged area, it has transformed into the city's vibrant cultural heart, where local traditions, like handmade pasta on the street and religious devotion, blend seamlessly with the lively nightlife scene. Iconic landmarks and history. The district is a vertical memory of history, with layers of Roman, Byzantine, and Norman influences visible in its major monuments. Basilica of St. Nicholas, a world-renowned pilgrimage site that houses the relics of St. Nicholas, the inspiration for Santa Claus. Visitors can descend into the candlelit crypt to see the tomb and admire the austere Romanesque architecture. Cathedral of St. Sabinus, famous for a 6th century subterranean archaeological site, Saccorpo, featuring Byzantine mosaics. Every summer solstice, June 21st, a spectacular light phenomenon occurs when the sun aligns perfectly with the rose window to project a pattern onto the floor. Castello Svivo di Bari, an imposing medieval fortress built by Frederick II. It serves as a guardian at the edge of the old town and hosts various cultural exhibitions and archaeological remains. Piazza Mercantile. Once the center of commerce, it now bustles with cafes and bars. Look for the Column of Justice, an ancient pillar once used to publicly shame and punish debtors. Local life and street food. Wandering through the Strada dell'Orecchiette via Arcobasso is the quintessential Bari experience, where local nonnas sit outside their homes skillfully shaping ear-shaped pasta by hand. Essential tips: the sea wall. For the best views, walk along the historic city walls via Venezia at sunset. Navigation. Don't rely solely on maps. The district is meant to be explored by getting lost in its 40 churches and 120 votive shrines. To truly understand Bari Vecchia, you have to look past the main monuments and into the rituals that have defined life here for centuries. It is a place where the line between private homes and public streets almost doesn't exist. Deep cultural traditions. The theft of saints. The city's identity is rooted in a daring 1087 heist. 62 sailors from Bari stole the relics of St. Nicholas from Myra, modern-day Turkey, to bring them to Bari. This turned the city into a global pilgrimage site. This single women's column. Inside the Basilica di San Nicola crypt, there is a miraculous column. Legend says that if a single woman walks around it 3 times, she will soon find her husband. Today, it's protected by iron cage, but the tradition remains a local favorite. Feast of St. Nicholas, May and December. while the main feast is May 7-9, featuring a massive sea procession where the statue of the saint is taken out on a boat. The December 6th celebration is more intimate. Locals attend a 5 a.m. Mass, followed by the tradition of drinking hot chocolate together in the chilly morning air. Hidden architectural gems. The underground city, beneath the Cathedral of San Sabino, lies a vast archaeological area, the Succorpolo. You can walk through layers of a Roman villa into 6th century Byzantine basilica with stunning mosaics that are hidden from the street-level view. The Street of the 40 Churches. Bari Vecchia once had dozens of tiny churches. While many are now closed or converted, you can still find the Church of San Gregorio, the oldest in the city, which often goes unnoticed next to the massive basilica. Votive shrines. Edicle votive. There are over 120 of these small, beautifully decorated altars built into the walls of the houses. They are often maintained by local families with fresh flowers and candles, serving as tiny, outdoor neighborhood chapels. The Bari-style gastronomy. The raw fish ritual. Head to Molo San Nicola around 10 a.m. This is where fishermen sell il crudo baris, raw octopus, sea urchins, and mussels. The tradition is to eat it right there on the dock with a cold Peroni beer, the city's unofficial drink. Spaghetti all'assassina. While arrachette is the most famous, assassin spaghetti is the most legendary. It is cooked raw in a pan with spicy tomato sauce until it is charred and crispy. Al Sorso Preferito is the historic birthplace of this burned pasta. Panzerato challenges. A panzerato is a deep-fried dough crescent filled with tomato and mozzarella. Eating a steaming hot one from Panificio Santa Rita without burning your mouth or staining your shirt is considered a local rite of passage.
Lista usando óleo. Olio cacca bonanza.
Alberobello, located in the Puglia region of southern Italy, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site renowned for its trulli, whitewashed limestone dwellings with unique conical roofs. These structures were originally built using a prehistoric dry stone technique, meaning they were constructed without mortar so they could be quickly dismantled to avoid property taxes. Today, the town is a fairy tale destination split into two main historic districts, each offering a distinct perspective on this architectural phenomenon. Iconic districts. Trulli, Monte is the largest and most famous district, sprawling across a hillside with over 1,000 trulli. It is the vibrant, commercial heart of the town, where narrow cobblestone streets are lined with artisan workshops, cafes, and souvenir shops. Vibrant atmosphere. This area is perfect for photographers, especially when the evening lights illuminate the gray stone cones. Unique shopping. Many shops allow visitors to step inside and see the traditional vaulted interiors, often leading to hidden rooftop terraces with panoramic views. Architectural diversity. You can find the Trullo Siamese, a rare, double trullo with two entrances that, according to local legend, was split by two feuding brothers. Nia Piccola offers a quieter, more authentic experience. Unlike the bustling Monte, this neighborhood is almost entirely residential, with about 400 trulli where locals still live. Authentic feel. There are no commercial shops here, allowing visitors to experience the slow life of old Puglia. Scenic viewpoints. The nearby Belvedere Santa Lucia provides one of the best vistas of the sea of stone roofs across the valley. Preserved history. Walking through these quiet alleys provides a genuine look at how these structures have functioned as homes for centuries. Trullo Sovrano is the only two-story trullo in the city and stands as a testament to the evolution of this building style. Built in the 18th century for a wealthy priest, it now serves as a heritage museum. Museum experience. Visitors can explore rooms furnished with period artifacts, including the traditional kitchen and bedroom alcoves carved directly into the stone. Advanced engineering. It features a rare masonry staircase leading to the upper floor, showcasing the peak of dry stone construction. Chiesa Parrocchiale di Sant'Antonio di Padova. Chiesa or Trullo is a unique place of worship built in 1927. It was designed to blend seamlessly with the surrounding neighborhood, making it the only Trullo church in the world. Architectural integration. The church features a 21-meter-high conical dome and a bell tower that mimics the shape of the surrounding homes. Rich artistry. Inside, visitors can view a massive fresco of the Tree of Salvation behind the altar. Casa d'Amore marks a pivotal moment in the town's history as the first house built using mortar after the town was freed from feudal tax rules in 1797. Symbol of freedom, the house represents the transition from temporary dry stone huts to permanent dwellings. Historical marker. An inscription on the facade commemorates the date the town officially became a royal city. For a deeper dive into the region's culture, the Territory Museum House Petzola is located in a complex of 15 interconnected trulli and details the evolution of the merged landscape and agricultural traditions. Are you interested in staying overnight in one of these historic stone homes, or would you like recommendations for traditional Puglian dining in the area? Beyond its architecture, Alberobello offers a deep immersion into the culinary and cultural traditions of Puglia. From sleeping under a limestone cone to tasting recipes passed down through generations, here is more to explore in and around the town. Traditional flavors. Puglian cuisine is defined by cucina povera, peasant cooking, focusing on simple, high-quality local ingredients like durum wheat, olive oil, and fresh vegetables. Trattoria Terra Madre is a standout for those wanting a farm-to-table experience. The restaurant maintains its own organic vegetable gardens nearby, ensuring that the produce on your plate is harvested daily. Signature dishes. Known for creative vegetable antipasti and traditional orecchiette, ear-shaped pasta. Vibe. Located near the Trello Sovrano, it offers a rustic yet refined atmosphere inside a historic stone building. Trattoria Casa Amatoli di Gianvito Amatoli is a family-run favorite that focuses on the heartier side of local tradition. Must try. Look for bombetti, pork rolls stuffed with cheese and herbs, and slow-cooked fava bean puree with chicory. Authenticity. Reviewers frequently praise the warm, hospitable service that makes you feel like a guest in a local home. Patron Saint Festival. Every September 27-28, the Church of Saints Cosmas and Damiano becomes the focal point of a massive celebration with lights, street food, and religious processions honoring the town's patron saints. Best time to visit. Aim for the shoulder seasons, April, May or September, October. You'll enjoy mild temperatures around 20 degrees Celsius, 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and avoid the dense crowds and intense heat of July and August. I hope you enjoy all the beauty surrounding Alberobello, Italy. See you in my next content. Bye.
Pranzo forse.
Andria is a historic city in Puglia, southern Italy, that serves as one of the three capitals of the Barletta-Andria-Trani province. Often called the City of Three Campaniles for its prominent church towers, it is most famous as the gateway to the mysterious Castel del Monte and for being the birthplace of burrata cheese. Iconic landmarks in history, Andria has deep ties to the Holy Roman Emperor Frederick II, known as Stupor Mundi, Wonder of the World, who frequented the area for hunting and left a significant architectural legacy. Castel del Monte, a 13th century UNESCO World Heritage Site located about 15 kilometers from the city. This octagonal fortress is renowned for its mathematical precision, astronomical alignment, and unique blend of Northern European Gothic, Islamic, and classical architectural styles. Cathedral of St. Mary of the Assumption. This 12th century Romanesque cathedral is home to a 7th century crypt where two of Frederick II's wives, Isabella of England and Yolanda of Brienne, are buried. St. Andrea Gate, an ancient gateway to the historic center that features an inscription attributed to Frederick II himself, praising the loyalty of the city's inhabitants. Church of St. Augustine. Originally built by the Teutonic Knights, this church features a beautiful Gothic portal adorned with intricate reliefs and the crests of noble families. Unique cultural and culinary experiences. The city is a paradise for food lovers, particularly those interested in traditional Apulian dairy and confectionery products. Museum of the Sugar Plum Mucci Giovanni, a dedicated museum exploring the history and production of confetti, sugar-coated almonds. It is housed in the original 1894 workshop and offers tastings of traditional sweets. Burrata di Andria. This world-famous creamy cheese originated here in the early 20th century. Visitors can often find local shops selling it fresh, along with high-quality extra virgin olive oil from the surrounding groves. Santuario di Santa Maria dei Miracoli, located just outside the main town. This sanctuary is built on 3 levels and houses a venerated 9th century Byzantine icon found in a natural cave. Natural surroundings. Andria is situated on the edge of the Alta Murgia National Park, a vast protected area characterized by limestone plateaus, ravines, and jazzy, ancient stone sheepfolds. It is an ideal area for hiking, cycling, and exploring the rural heritage of the Murgia Plateau. Enjoy the views around Andria and see you in my next content. Bye. Altamura, a historic town in the Puglia region of Italy, is perched on the March Plateau and is often nicknamed the Lioness of Puglia for its fierce resistance during historical sieges. The city is a fascinating blend of prehistoric mystery, medieval grandeur, and a culinary tradition so strong that its bread is famous throughout the country. The world-famous Pane di Altamura in Italy. The name Altamura is practically synonymous with bread. Pane di Altamura was the first product in its category in Europe to receive the PDO, Protected Designation of Origin status. Traditionally made for shepherds and farmers who needed a loaf that would stay fresh for up to 2 weeks, it is characterized by its sourdough base, durum wheat semolina, and thick, crunchy crust. Antico Forno Santa Caterina del 1306, one of the city's most historic bakeries where you can still see the traditional wood-fired ovens that give the bread its signature smoky flavor. Forno Antico Santa Chiara, a local favorite known for its traditional shapes, including the usquent, folded bread, and the priest's hat. Distinctive characteristics. The bread is exclusively made from locally grown durum wheat and must have a crust at least 3 mm thick. Historical and cultural landmarks. The historic center of Altamura is unique for its claustri, small, secluded courtyards that open off the main streets. These was designed both for social gatherings and as defensive traps for invaders. Cathedral of St. Mary of the Assumption, founded in 1232 by Emperor Frederick II, this is the only cathedral he ever built. It is a masterpiece of Apulian Romanesque architecture, famous for its incredibly intricate main portal and large rose window. La Cantina Frud, Museo del Vino, a specialized museum where visitors can learn about the history of winemaking in the region and participate in guided tastings. Prehistoric Wonders. Altamura is a critical site for archaeology and paleontology, housing some of the most significant finds in Europe. The Altamura Man, found in the Grotta di Lammalunga, this is one of the most complete Neanderthal skeletons ever discovered. The bones are embedded in calcite and covered in cave popcorn, making it a haunting and scientifically invaluable site. National Archaeological Museum of Altamura. This museum houses a detailed reconstruction of the Altamura Man and exhibits artifacts ranging from the Neolithic era to the Middle Ages. Forum dei Dinosauri, located in the nearby Conrada Pontrelli, this site contains thousands of dinosaur footprints dating back 80 million years, one of the densest trackways in the world. The surrounding landscape is defined by the Pulo di Altamura, a massive karst sinkhole that drops 75 meters into the earth. It is a striking natural monument that offers hiking opportunities and a look at the region's unique geology. Enjoy the view of Altamura and see you in my next content. Lex. Known as the Florence of the South, Lexi is the jewel of the Salento Peninsula and Puglia. The city is world-renowned for its unique, Lex Baroque architecture, characterized by the use of soft, honey-colored local limestone that allowed 17th-century stonemasons to create incredibly intricate, lace-like carvings on church facades and palaces. Top landmarks and sites. The historic center is a dense maze of golden HUED streets that open into grand piazzas, each telling the story of the city's Roman, medieval, and Baroque layers. Basilica of the Holy Cross. This church is the ultimate masterpiece of Lexi Baroque, featuring a facade so complex it took over 150 years to complete. Look for the grotesque figures on the balcony, including drolleries, animals, and cherubs. The interior is equally stunning, with a coffered ceiling and ornate side chapels. It is often visited as part of the L'Ecclesia Church Path ticket. Piazza del Duomo. One of Europe's most beautiful enclosed squares, it functions like a monumental open-air theater with only one main entrance. Home to the Lex Cathedral, a massive 5-story bell tower, and the Bishop's Palace. The square is especially magical at night when the limestone glows under soft yellow lights. Visitors can take an elevator to the top of the bell tower for panoramic views of the city. Piazza Sant'Orenzo. The city's main civic hub, where ancient Roman history sits side by side with modern shops and cafes. Roman Amphitheater. Features the Roman Amphitheater of Lex, a 2nd century structure that was accidentally rediscovered in 1901. Dominated by the Colonna di Sant'Orenzo, a column topped with a statue of the city's patron saint. Look for the Mosaico della Lupa, she-wolf mosaic on the ground, representing the city's crest. Museo Faggiano. A fascinating private museum that was discovered when the homeowner tried to fix a sewage pipe and found layers of history. Reveals 2,500 years of ruins, including Mesopotamia tombs, Roman granaries, and Franciscan secret passageways. It offers a unique look at how the city was literally built on top of its own past. Food and drink. Lex's culinary scene is a highlight of any trip, centered around rustic, povera, and famous local pastries. Martinucci Lexi, a legendary spot in the main square to try a pasticciato, a short crust pastry filled with warm lemon custard. Antica Pizzeria Giannone del 1941, the best place to try a Puglia, a traditional Salentine sandwich made from pizza dough and filled with local cheeses and vegetables. La Vecchia Osteria de Totu, a cozy, traditional spot known for regional specialties like Caesarea pasta with chickpeas, part of which is fried. Where to stay? Patria Palace Hotel, Hotel's Collection, a luxury choice located in an 18th century palace directly across from the Basilica of Santa Croce, offering a rooftop bar with some of the best views in the city. I hope you enjoy the beautiful scenery around Lexi and see you in my next content.
Oui. un pochino in inglés, que eso
Poi c'è l'Aquila che rappresenta l'imperatore, poi c'è il leone che rappresenta Venezia, e poi c'è l'orso che rappresenta la famiglia Orsini e dopo c'è un cavallo che rappresenta tutti gli eserciti. Allora questi animali
Polignano. Polignano Amayer is a stunning coastal town in the Puglia region of southern Italy, famous for its dramatic limestone cliffs and whitewashed houses perched directly over the Adriatic Sea. It is a place of ancient history and vibrant local culture, perhaps most famous globally as the birthplace of Domenico Modugno, the singer of the iconic song Volare. Top attractions. The most iconic site in town is La Chile, a pebble beach tucked into a deep gorge between two cliffs. It is widely considered one of the most photographed beaches in Italy and serves as the stage for international cliff diving competitions. Historic Old Town. Accessible through the Marsh Sail Arch, also known as Porter Grand, the Old Quarter is a labyrinth of narrow winding streets. Visitors often find snippets of poetry painted on the walls and staircases as they walk toward panoramic terraces overlooking the sea. Monumento a Domenico Modugno. This statue of Domenico Modugno honors the town's musical legend. The nearby rocky outcrop, Pietra Piatta, offers some of the best views of the town's skyline against the blue water. Religious heritage. The Church of St. Mary of the Assumption, Chiesa Maderais, is a 13th century cathedral built on the ruins of a pagan temple, housing centuries-old artwork and the relics of the town's patron saint, San Vito. Unique experiences. The town's coastline is riddled with sea caves, the most famous being Grotta Palazzese, which hosts a world-renowned luxury restaurant inside a natural cavern overlooking the waves. Sea caves and grottos. Exploring by boat is the best way to see the various grottos like Grotta Ardito or Grotta dell'Arcivescovado. Many tours include stops for swimming and local aperitifs. Contemporary art. The Museum of Contemporary Art Pino Pasquale is the only contemporary art museum in Puglia, located in a former slaughterhouse with incredible views of the sea. Nearby San Vito, a short distance from the center lies the Abbazia di San Vito, a majestic 10th century abbey located right on the water next to a small fishing harbor. I hope you enjoy the views around Polignano and the beauty of its ancient buildings. See you in my next content. Loco Rotondo, whose name literally translates to round place, is a hilltop gem in Puglia's Idro Valley. Renowned for its circular layout and whitewashed buildings, it is officially recognized as one of the Borghi più belli d'Italia, most beautiful villages of Italy. The town is particularly famous for its unique commerce, houses with steep, pointed stone roofs, and its premium Loco Rotondo DOC white wine. Top landmarks in architecture. Loco Rotondo's historic center is a maze of narrow, flower-lined alleys that reward aimless wandering. The architecture is a blend of medieval foundations and Baroque flourishes, all kept in a pristine, bright white. Church of St. George Martyr. This 18th century neoclassical mother church serves as the town's spiritual heart and features a grand dome that dominates the skyline. Palazzo Morelli, a stunning example of Baroque architecture, this palace is easily identified by its ornate wrought iron balconies and intricate stone-carved doorway. Cicerettoria Madonna del Greca, considered the oldest church in town, it dates back to the 15th century and offers a more austere, Romanesque contrast to the town's later Baroque structures. Trullo Marziola, located just outside the town center, this is the oldest documented Trullo in the Idro Valley, dating back to 1559. Scenic views and leisure. Locals and visitors alike gravitate to the town's southern edge for sweeping views of the surrounding countryside, a landscape defined by olive groves, vineyards, and scattered trulli. Villa Comunale Giuseppe Garibaldi. This public park acts as a natural balcony, offering panoramic vistas over the valley. It is the perfect spot for a quiet stroll or an evening gelato. The Lungomare. Despite being miles from the coast, the residents affectionately call the panoramic walk along Via Nardelli the seafront because of the vast, wave-like greenery of the valley below. Dining and local flavor. The culinary scene in Loco Rotondo focuses on traditional Puglian land-based dishes, especially handmade arrabbiata and local meats. Restaurant Ucurdon. Named after the town's dialect name, this restaurant is highly recommended for its authentic local cuisine served in elegant stone rooms with vaulted ceilings. Ristorante Osteria Il Raswan, a popular spot for gourmet interpretations of regional flavors, often noted for its excellent wine selection and charming historic setting. Pizzeria Casa Pinto, often cited as the best pizza in town, this family-owned eatery is tucked away in the narrow lane and is a favorite for those wanting a break from traditional osterias. Enjoy the views around Loco Rotondo and see you in my next content. Matera. Matera, located in the southern Italian region of Basilicata, is one of the world's oldest continuously inhabited cities. It is famous for its ancient cave-dwelling districts, known as the Sassi, which have transformed from a place of extreme poverty and national shame in the mid-20th century to a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a major cultural destination. Historical heart. The Sassi di Matera consist of two districts, Sasso Berisano and Sasso Cavioso, where houses are literally carved into the limestone rock. Until the 1950s, thousands of people lived here in overcrowded, unsanitary conditions, leading to a forced government relocation. Today, these caves have been restored into boutique hotels, restaurants, and museums. Cave dwellings. You can visit the cave house in the Sassi of Matera, Casa Grata di Vico Solirio, to see how families and livestock live together in a single room until just decades ago. Rock churches. The city is home to over 150 Rupstrian churches. The Church of St. Mary of Idris, perched on a rock overlooking the canyon, is famous for its Byzantine-style frescoes. Underground engineering. Discover the long cistern, Palombaro Lungo, a massive 19th century subterranean water tank beneath Piazza Vittorio Veneto that held up to 5 million liters of water. Panoramic views and landmarks. The city's unique, monochromatic limestone architecture creates a dramatic skyline that changes beautifully with the sun. Skyline dominance. The Cathedral Basilica of Matera, built in the 13th century Apulian Romanesque style, sits at the city's highest point and offers an iconic silhouette. Breathtaking viewpoints. The Belvedere di Piazza Giovanni Pascoli is a favored spot for photographers, offering a sweeping view of the Sassi and the Gravina Canyon. Art in caves. The MUSMA, Museum of Contemporary Sculpture, is set within the 17th century Palazzo Pomerici and adjacent caves, blending modern art with ancient stone architecture. Cinematic Matera. The city's otherworldly and biblical appearance has made it a favored location for major films. Biblical settings. Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ and Pier Paolo Pasolini's The Gospel According to St. Matthew both used Matera as a stand-in for ancient Jerusalem. Blockbuster action. Modern audiences will recognize the narrow lanes from the high-speed car chase in James Bond's No Time to Die or as the Amazonian city of Themyscira in Wonder Woman. Nature and hiking. Directly across the ravine from the city is the Parco Regionale della Murgia Maderena. This rugged park contains prehistoric caves and some of the best vantage points for looking back at the city. Many visitors enjoy hiking across the Tibetan-style suspension bridge that spans the Gravina River to reach the park. Enjoy the views around Matera and the beauty of its old buildings, and see you in my next content.
De itt vagyok ám, lehet szólni. Mert nem tudom, mikor indul el. Gondol egyet.
Ma scritto nei sassi.
Che è scritto nei sassi anche no?
No, ma scritto nei sassi, non scritto lì.
Perché? No, no, che vedi? Dire sul loyale.
Ja.
Otranto. Otranto is a historic port town located on the Adriatic coast of the Salento Peninsula and Puglia. Known as the easternmost point of Italy, it serves as a symbolic gateway to the east, blending a rich, sometimes tragic history with stunning turquoise waters and whitewashed architecture. Historical landmarks. The town's history is deeply marked by the 1480 Ottoman invasion, an event that still resonates through its most famous sites. Otranto Cathedral is the spiritual heart of the city, built during the 11th century Norman rule. It is world-renowned for its massive 12th century floor mosaic, the Tree of Life, which depicts biblical scenes, mythological figures, and zodiac symbols. The Chapel of the Martyrs houses the remains of 800 citizens beheaded during the Ottoman siege for refusing to convert to Islam. The 11th century crypt features a forest of 42 columns, many salvaged from ancient Roman buildings. Aragonese Castle of Otranto is a 15th century fortress that dominates the town's seaside profile. Visitors can explore its thick defensive walls, towers, and underground tunnels. The castle frequently hosts contemporary art exhibitions and cultural events. Its terraces offer panoramic views of the harbor and the Strait of Otranto. Chiesa di San Pietro is a smaller, Byzantine-style church tucked away in the old town's narrow streets. It dates back to the 9th or 10th century and represents some of the best-preserved Byzantine architecture in the region. The interior is decorated with ancient frescoes depicting sacred stories. Coastal and natural sites. Otranto is equally famous for its natural beauty, with crystal-clear waters that have earned it numerous Blue Flag awards for cleanliness. Baia dei Turchi is a picturesque beach located just north of the city. It is named after the landing site of the Turkish fleet in 1480. The beach features fine white sand surrounded by a dense pine forest and turquoise water. Laghetto Cave Deep Bauxite is a striking landscape created by an abandoned bauxite quarry. The site features deep red rock cliffs contrasting with an emerald green lake formed at the bottom. It is a popular spot for hiking and photography due to its unusual, almost Martian-looking terrain. Lighthouse Punta Polizia marks the exact easternmost point of Italy. The 19th century lighthouse is a popular destination for those wanting to see the first sunrise in Italy. On very clear days, it is sometimes possible to see the mountains of Albania across the Strait of Otranto. Enjoy the views around Otranto and the beauty of its old buildings, and see you in my next content.
Perché magari ti vengono. c'è handmade.
Sì, no, adesso scemi di tutto.
Come mi disconoscono di una visione?
Ostuni. Often called La Città Bianca, the White City, Ostuni is one of Puglia's most iconic destinations. Perched on a hilltop overlooking vast olive groves and the Adriatic Sea, the city is famous for its dazzling whitewashed stone buildings, a tradition originally started to brighten narrow medieval streets and later used to help curb the spread of the plague. Historic center and landmarks. The old town is a labyrinthine maze of winding alleyways, steep staircases, and hidden courtyards that lead to the city's highest point. Cattedrale Santa Maria Assunta, this 15th century cathedral stands out for its rare blend of Gothic, Romanesque, and Renaissance styles. Its most famous feature is the massive 24-ray rose window, one of the largest in Europe. Piazza della Libertà, the city's main square, serves as the gateway to the historic center. It features the Colonna di Sant'Orenzo, a 20-meter-tall Baroque spire dedicated to the town's patron saint. Arco di Scapa, located directly across from the cathedral, this ornate stone archway was inspired by the Bridge of Sighs in Venice and connects the bishop's palace to the seminary. Museo di Civiltà Preclassiche, housed in a former convent, this museum contains the Woman of Ostuni, the 28,000-year-old remains of a pregnant Paleolithic woman discovered in a nearby cave. Culture and experiences. Beyond the architecture, Ostuni is deeply tied to the agricultural traditions of the surrounding Valley di Idria. Ancient olive groves. The plains below the city are home to monumental olive trees, some of which are over 1,000 years old. Many local massieri, fortified farmhouses offer olive oil tastings and tours. Aperitivo culture. The city is known for its vibrant evening scene. Popular spots like Borgo Antico Bistro offer tiered outdoor seating on the ancient walls, providing panoramic sunset views of the coast. Cavalcata di Sant'Orenzo. If visiting in late August, 240-270, you can witness this historic festival featuring a grand parade of horses and riders in traditional embroidered costumes. Nearby exploration. Ostuni is a central hub for exploring the wider Puglia region. Beaches. The Marina di Ostuni coastline is just 8 kilometers away, featuring blue flag beaches like Lido Morelli and the Torre Guaceto Nature Reserve. Day trips. The iconic trolley houses of Alberobello and the circular hilltop town of Loco Rotondo are both within a 30 to 40-minute drive. I hope you enjoy the views around Ostuni and see you in my next content. Monopoli. Monopoli is a vibrant seaside town on the Adriatic coast of Puglia, Italy, known for its whitewashed old town, historic fishing harbor, and a string of beautiful sandy coves. Often described as a more lived-in and authentic alternative to its famous neighbor Palermo, a mayor, Monopoli blends a rich seafaring history with a lively modern food scene and stunning Baroque architecture. Historical landmarks. Monopoli's central storico is a labyrinth of narrow alleys and medieval architecture protected by ancient sea walls. Cathedral Basilica of Maria Santissima della Madonna, an 18th century Baroque masterpiece dedicated to the city's patron saint. It is famous for the legend of a miraculous icon that arrived in the harbor on a wooden raft, a relic still revered inside. Castello Carlo V. This 16th century fortress juts into the sea at the edge of the old town. Once a prison, it now hosts cultural exhibitions and offers panoramic views of the coastline. Palazzo Palmieri, a grand 18th century noble residence located in the heart of the old town, showcasing the city's former wealth as a Venetian trading hub. The old port and waterfront. The maritime soul of the city is best experienced along its historic quays. Porto Attico, the iconic old harbor, is filled with traditional blue and red wooden fishing boats called gozzi. It remains an active port where you can still see fishermen mending their nets by hand. Piazza Giuseppe Garibaldi, the social heart of the city, this bustling square is lined with cafes, restaurants, and bars, making it the perfect spot for an evening aperitivo or people watching. Coastal escapes. Unlike many Italian port cities, Monopoli has swimmable beaches within walking distance of its historic center. Cala Bari Vecchia, located right at the edge of the old town walls, this small sandy cove is a local favorite for a quick dip in crystal-clear turquoise waters. St. Stephen Castle, situated a few kilometers south, this coastal castle, Abbazia di San Stefano, overlooks one of the area's most picturesque rocky bays and was once a Benedictine monastery. Enjoy the views around Monopoli and the beauty of its old buildings. See you in my next content.
Nel nome del Padre, e del Figlio, e dello Spirito Santo. La grazia del Signore nostro Gesù Cristo, l'amore di Dio Padre e la comunione dello Spirito Santo siano. Ci mettiamo ancora in ascolto della voce del Signore per sentire ardere in noi il nostro cuore, così come abbiamo cantato all'inizio di questa celebrazione eucaristica. E ci disponiamo a celebrare i santi misteri.
Bus tour in Puglia, Italy. Exploring Puglia by bus offers a mix of organized sightseeing tours, regional public transit, and long-distance coach services. While there is no single Puglia hop-on hop-off bus that covers the entire region, several companies provide specialized day trips to popular spots like the Trolley of Alberobello and the coastal cliffs of Polignano and Mayer. organized sightseeing tours. Most guided bus tours depart from major hubs like Bari or Lecce. These are ideal if you want to see multiple towns in one day without worrying about local timetables. Bariters, Visite Guided Bari, highly rated for organized day trips. They often operate from B. Boyne, Italy, known for small group minibus tours, max 15 people, that explore the Idro Valley and Matera with a focus on local food and slower-paced walking tours. UNESCO day trips. Many operators offer full-day circuits from Bari to Alberobello and Matera. These typically include transport and luxury coaches and local guides. Regional and public bus networks. For more independent travel, several regional companies connect the smaller villages and coastal towns. Ferrovie del Sud e Servizi Automobilistici SRL. This is the most significant operator for tourists in the southern part of Puglia. Their buses and trains connect Bari to the Idro Valley, Alberobello, Martina Franca, and the Salento Peninsula. Salento and Bus, a dedicated summer service, typically June to September, that makes it much easier to reach popular beaches and towns like Otranto and Gallipoli from Lecce Terminal Bus. Seaside SRL primarily serves the northern province of Foggia and the Gargano Peninsula, connecting major towns with the scenic coastline. Long distance and terminal info. If you are arriving from other parts of Italy or traveling between major Puglian cities, you will likely use these hubs. Terminal Bus Bari, the main departure point for long-distance coaches like Travel and Tourism Marazzi SRL, connecting to Rome and the bus stop, Flixbus, Edibus, Marino Bus on Via Capruzzi. Puglia Aerobus. This service specifically connects Bari Airport with Brindisi, Lecce, Taranto, and Foggia, providing a seamless link for air travelers. I hope you enjoyed the natural scenery of Puglia, Italy, from the bus tour, and the beauty of its ancient buildings. See you in my next content.
For all my friends there, thank you very much for supporting me. And if you want, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay? See you in my next content.